50% of marriages in America end in divorce. And even though Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings put a ring on it in 2018 and even renewed their vows this offseason, would it make sense for the Vikings if they just bit the bullet, paid the cost, and got this really expensive divorce? Because, it's not that you're just giving Kirk Cousins half. It's like, well, the lawyers get half too, but that doesn't make sense. Anyways, should they just go ahead and pull the trigger? So let's examine. Kirk Cousins has generally not been the problem with the Vikings, who have obviously had a ton of problems this year. The defense, it's been a mess, and Kirk Cousins did have one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best season of his career last year in 2019, under Kevin Stefanski, who just let him get away. And even though he won his first playoff game, awesome, cool stuff. Never mind that the Vikings, before they signed him, had been that NFC title game, and Kirk was supposed to be the missing piece, and just like, again, Kirk was not the reason why they lost to Green Bay. That was on the defense. He was not the reason why they lost to the Titans and the Seahawks. The offense is starting to really click the last 3 weeks. He was the problem against the Colts when we put up a 15 quarterback rating, but I digress there. And even though Kirk was not the reason why they lost those games, Kirk is not the reason why they've been competitive, the reason why they are actually winning games and beating good teams. There's a reason why Kirk has a 7-29 record against teams with winning records, and it's not always on the defense. And also, being paid not to be the problem is not what the Vikings envisioned when they put a ring on it in 2018. Also, the Vikings, they are the best running team in football. Offensive line is perfectly suited for the outside zone scheme. You got Dalvin Cook, when healthy, is the best running back in the game. But are you paying a 9-year NFL veteran who's probably not going to change his stripes anytime soon, top tier quarterback money, just so you can hide him with your running game? That seems weird, right? Now, you do that with like a Mitchell Trubisky Ponder. You do that with Christian Ponder. You do not do that with the 6th highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. You don't do that, right? So you saw how the Vikings offense just stagnates when Kirk is in shotgun and he's forced to distribute when you know that they're in passing situations. Defense can just key in, pin their ears back, and come after Kirk Cousins, and he just does not make those good decisions. He does not buy extra time in the pocket. He just does not do that. I mean, he is a under center, play action passing quarterback, and that's fine. That's fine. But also, that's not what the Vikings are paying him to be. And it's embarrassing. Like, you know who's good at sitting in shotgun, just throwing darts? Every rookie quarterback coming in, because yes, they are indoctrinated in that offense, going to 7-on-7 camps when they're like 12 years old, and then also wide open air raid style offenses in college. But that's not Kirk Cousins' game. That's not his bag, and that's something that the Vikings are missing right now. So if Kirk is not the answer at quarterback, if this relationship clearly is not working out or going anywhere, or if you don't see a brighter future ahead, if the quarterback does not bring you joy or does not make you get out of bed every morning and woo, let's go win the day, then why are you with them? And are you settling for this relationship because it would cost you more money to get out of the relationship? And why are you settling for one that doesn't make you happy, you don't see a bright future with? And also, are you constantly daydreaming about your exes? Are you thinking about, hey, Case Keenum, hey, Teddy, what could have been? You're in the wrong relationship, bro. And maybe it would be worth it to pay the cost to get out of it. So should the Vikings and Kirk Cousins consider getting a divorce? Well, it would be expensive, as all divorces are. So his 2021 base salary of $21 million is fully guaranteed. So it's on the books no matter what. Either way, the Vikings will have $41 million dead. It gets the cap on Kirk's deal. The base salary plus a $20 million in prorated signing bonus, where the Vikings have to eat that no matter what. Vikings already are $8.176 million over the projected 2021 cap, but of course, hashtag cap is a myth. Could get rid of Anthony Barr and Rudy and da-da-da. There's always money in the banana stand. You can find ways around it. But the Vikings would either have to take on an additional $10 million cap hit if they cut or trade Kirk in 2021, or take that $10 million in 2022 if he's a post-June 1st cut or trade designation, but cross that bridge when you get there. But here's what gets really expensive. So if Kirk is on the team in 2021, he's going to be here in 2022. So on the third day of the new league year next offseason, his $35 million 2022 base salary becomes fully guaranteed. So the Vikings have 3 days into the new league year in March to decide if Kirk is going to be here for 0 years or 2 years. There's not going to be 1 year. So like we said, basically if Kirk's here next year, he's going to be here the year after that. Hence the expensive divorce decision. So of course the trade to the Niners is always on the table. Kyle Shanahan's a big Kirk Cousins fan, but would the Vikings simply cut bait if the trade wasn't there, with no compensatory picks and having to eat all that dead money and also $21 million guaranteed 21? Would they be willing to do that? Also, probably no offset language. So if and when Kirk does sign with the Niners after the Vikings cut him loose, probably doesn't ease their burden of the base salary as well as the cap hit. So would they do that? Cut bait and completely start over? It's tough because, like we said, Kirk is perfectly fine and average, except you are massively overpaying him. And this is more like a macro version of what happened to Riley Reef, where Riley Reef is perfectly fine at what he does. Does he always show up great in big games? No, but he's fine. But he wasn't fine for the money. And then he took that pay cut, and then the Vikings moved on with life. But if they decide that Kirk Cousins isn't worth the money and they'll even pay to get rid of him, and then having to deal with the cap issue, sign a cheap veteran like a Tyrod Taylor or even a Case Keenum, come on back, Buffalo Rights up in heaven, or Marcus Mariota if and when the Raiders do cut him loose out of his 2-year deal, and then telegraph in March to the entire league that, hey, Vikings, wherever the Vikings are drafting, quarterback. So every single team behind you potentially could leapfrog you because they know that you're dialed in and penciled in and basically pigeonholed to taking a quarterback. Oh, also, you don't have a second round pick. So it is all in on that first round pick. So, nah. Yeah, I still think it's a long shot, especially with Spielman and Zimmer on those lucrative contract extensions. And unless there's a shakeup in the front office or everyone is put on notice, I don't see it happening because it's not so much that the Vikings are married to Cousins. It's Spielman is married to Cousins. Because if Rick Spielman goes to ownership, goes to the Wilsons, like, yeah, we're going to cut Kirk Cousins, and you are going to also pay him $21 million guaranteed no matter what next year. They'll be like, he was the guy that you picked. He was the guy that you gave a record-setting $84 million fully guaranteed contract to. He is the guy that you convinced us to extend in the offseason. So doesn't that reflect poorly on you, despite your record with the quarterback position, which is also not great. So I don't know if Spielman will go to that option. That's why I think it's extremely far-fetched at that point. But again, if it comes to a spot where it becomes prisoner's dilemma and people have to start throwing each other under the bus, never say never. Don't rule it out. I mean, Wilfs are smart businessmen, and even though it would suck to eat that sunk cost, you know a bad investment when you see it, and doesn't make sense to throw $35 million in fully guaranteed cash in 2022, good money after bad money in 2021. So we'll see. Be your thoughts. Vikings and Kirk getting a divorce. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Post on the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.